Hi, everybody, and welcome back. So, here we have Megsy Daisy. Give her the pinky, and she'll grab the whole hand, or in Meghan's case, the entire darn arm. Only days after Meghan and Harry received the NAACP award, which, after all, they paid for, she contributed to a piece in honor of Black History Month in the United States. In the piece, Meghan talks to Anita Hill about Judge Katanya Brown Jackson's nomination to the Supreme Court. Meghan says, "The civil rights history of tomorrow is being written today. Judge Jackson's nomination has opened new ground for women's representation at the highest level of a judicial system that for too long has tilted against the very community she hails from. For millions of young women who will rightfully find inspiration from this moment, let's remind ourselves that Black achievement is something that exists not just today or yesterday, and not just in moments of celebration, but as a fabric woven into the entire chronicle of the American history." Well, firstly, yet another political biased statement from Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, a princess of the United Kingdom. And people can shout in capital letters all they want, but that is what she is until Harry loses his titles and they are taken from the royal website. So, when are you going to start feeling the shade, people of Sussex? When are you going to wake up, royal family, and realize that the more this woman does this, the angrier we are getting at you? When will the British Parliament wake up and realize that if this is allowed to continue, you no longer have a constitutional monarchy? So now down to business, folks. Once again, the genius of Markleness shines through this like a rotten apple used to light a room. Rather dim, I would say. Firstly, all the history of tomorrow is indeed written today. Civil rights history was written in the past and in the United States has been governed for many, many years. The definition of civil rights is civil rights are an essential component of democracy. It guarantees equal social opportunities under the protection of the law, regardless of race, religion, or any other characteristics. The 10 civil rights are freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom to vote, freedom against unwarranted searches of your home and property, freedom to a fair trial, and the freedom to remain silent during police interrogation. The American civil rights movement was indeed a political movement and campaign from 1954 until 1968 to abolish institutional racial segregation and discrimination. In the United States, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 protects the rights as stipulated above. And guess what? The Civil Rights Act applies to everyone, whether you are pink or blue, green or yellow. Thus, for Meghan to use it in this context is factually incorrect, as the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s is something completely different from the actual Civil Rights Act. The movement is indeed history, albeit important history. And the actual act is law. It is law. It was law in 1964 and it is still law. Then she talks about women's representation at the highest level of the judicial system. Well, Meghan seemed to forget about the very woman she said she idolized, namely Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who also served on the Supreme Court. Well, actually, Ruth Bader Ginsburg wasn't even the first woman to serve in the United States Supreme Court. Sandra Day O'Connor was, and she served from 1981 until 2005. Then there is Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett. What makes it even funnier is that Judge Brown Jackson is not even the first woman of color to be nominated or to serve in the Supreme Court. Sonia Sotomayor was born to parents of Puerto Rican descent and was raised in a housing project in the Bronx. Sonia Sotomayor was the first Hispanic Supreme Court justice. So, talking about the system that for far too long tilted against the very community she comes from, and my first thought will go to Sonia Sotomayor. Meghan truly shows once again her ignorance, and again she does not even bother to use Google like I did before spilling her vitriol. If Meghan thinks she's talking about the first black person in the Supreme Court, she's also mistaken. Judge Clarence Thomas took his seat in the Supreme Court on October 23rd, 1991. Good Lord. And then she goes on to insult every black person in the world, never mind the United States, by saying black achievement not only exists in moments of celebration, blah, blah, blah. Insane, insane. Anyone who has lived a year or longer, who has neighbors, go to school, walk the darn planet, knows that black, white, colored, etc., all have a role to play in history. And there is no way you can ignore the one or the other. You have to be pretty insane to ignore a certain group of people when it comes to the fabric of history. The statement or speech of Meghan's is one of the most ignorant, cringe-worthy statements she has ever made, and it is time the world recognizes her mental and intellectual decline and stop giving her a public platform where she can spew her insane vitriol, which could potentially incite others as ignorant as her. Okay, so moving along before I get my knickers in a twist even further, it is my opinion that instead of praising and doting on Meghan, any proud African American female or any person of African descent should be embarrassed by her and should instead perhaps hold her up as an example of how not to be proudly black or even how not to be proudly female. I put on the screen a copy of a CV put out by the very same Meghan Markle, in which she calls herself Caucasian. How denying your heritage so blatantly can be anything to be proud of is absolutely beyond me. We are also all aware that Meghan's hair is not naturally straight. However, from high school until this very day, she has never worn her hair in its natural state. Meghan has never dated was never engaged to or married to a black man or even a man of color. Yet, now that she feels like she had lost the support of the general public, she is using black women to create a niche group of supporters. And that is just wrong. My dear ladies, she is using you. Face it and deal with it. They are wonderful women of color we can all be proud of. They are successful, bright, intelligent women who are proud of their heritage and who would be the women we should tell our children about. And here are just two of my personal favorites: Princess Angela of Liechtenstein and Halle Berry. Halle Berry, in my eyes, is one of the most beautiful women in the world. Like Meghan, she had one white and one black parent, but unlike Meghan, she had true talent and natural beauty. Unlike Meghan, she had a successful career, having won one Academy Award, a Primetime Emmy Award, a Golden Globe Award, two Screen Actors Guild Awards, etc., among many others. Like Meghan, Hallie found her mixed race heritage slightly confusing, but unlike Meghan, she early on decided to identify as black because she thought that is how most people would perceive her. And I must add, she didn't mind doing it. It brought her a certain amount of peace. She also became Miss Teen All-American in 1985, Miss Ohio in 1986, and was sixth in the Miss World contest in 1986. Despite a tumultuous personal life and relationships, Hallie survived and picked herself up by the collar and soldiered on. Like Meghan, Angela married into a predominantly white royal family, but unlike Meghan, she embraced the culture of her adopted country and had now been married to her prince without scandal for nearly 22 years. Thus, there are no excuses for Meghan Markle and no excuses for her feverishly, sometimes even crazy supporters. If you really need an idol, there are so many more successful, beautiful, intelligent women that you can idolize. Okay, my dears, that's my rant for today. Until we meet again on the next one, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.